I'll call the meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. I'll introduce the panel members first. I'm Marcel Larondo. I'll be chairing. Bill Moreski is here and Doug Marks is here. The assessor today is Nathan Kupfer and our secretary today is Kara Belshaw. To the participants of the hearing, please note that you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along with the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit the discussions to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matter must be sworn in. Provided at this hearing, the issues a written order that. One second. Am I missing something down there? There it is. Be advised that comparisons of assessment of properties are not provided at this hearing and issues a written order that we mail to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decision with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to an application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. Process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will start with, once I get my mouse over here. First item on the docket will be 251 Yonge Street. That'll be Shayna.
So, Mr. Assessor, for the record, please state your name.
Nathan Kupfer.
Do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And Madam Applicant, for the record, please state your name. You'll just have to unmute.
Shayna Plout.
And do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, Nathan, if you want to pull the file, we'll start it up.
251 Yonge Street. Everybody ready to go? Roll number 1209-1095-000. It's in the West Broadway neighborhood area. This is a two-story constructed in 1893 with an effective age of 1963. Living area 1,514 square feet. Full basement that's unfinished. Two bathrooms. It's a 5-piece bathroom and a 3-piece bathroom. No air conditioning, no fireplace, no garage, and a lot size of just under 3,000 square feet with a commercial adjacent influence. That commercial influence is an apartment building next door. I believe it's a 4-story apartment building. The 4 comparables are all in the West Broadway area. Comparables 1 through 3 are 2 stories, while comparable number 4 is a 1 3/4 story. All single-family dwellings constructed between 1892 and 1906. Living areas ranging from a low of 1,300 square feet to a high of 1,676 square feet. All have full basements. None of them have basement finish. Comparables 1, 2, and 3 all have between 1.5 and 2 bathrooms, while comparable number 4 has only 1 bathroom. Comparables 3 and 4 have air conditioning. Comparable number 3 has a fireplace. and only comparables number 1 and 3 are listed as having single garages. Lot sizes range from 3,000 square feet to 4,021 square feet. Time adjusted sale prices for the 4 comparables range from a low of $206,000 to $297,000, or time adjusted sale price per square foot ranging from a low of $122.91 all the way up to $228.54. The 2022 assessment for the property is currently set at $254,000 or $167.77 per square foot. The property sold post reference in December 2020 to the current owner. If you have a look at my map on page number 2, you'll see comparable number 4 is just a few properties down. So it's the closest in proximity. However, I would say that comparable number 1, 134 Spence Street, is probably the truest approximation, as it's also adjacent to a similar apartment building. It's just on the other side of Broadway here. I believe it's also a 4-story older apartment building, so it's got the exact same influence as the subject property. Thank you.
Shana, do you have any questions of the assessor before you put your presentation forward?
No, I just want to clarify that this is an assessment that was done from 2018. Is that correct? Like, that's the year that we're looking at?
That's correct, is it not, Nathan?
So we're doing a 2022 assessment. So it's based off of the property characteristics and the condition of 2022 and the market date and the market value as of April 1st, 2018.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, thank you.
Bill, do you have any questions?
Yes, the comparable number 1, which you said was the closest, has a single garage, and the subject property does not, correct?
That's correct.
And the sale price of the comparable number 1 was less than what you assessed by $20,000 approximately.
Correct.
With the garage. So how do you, what's your comments on that? Why is there such a big discrepancy there? Large discrepancy.
So I think that you're absolutely correct. A detached single garage, depending on the age of it and the condition, of course, these older homes, they can be either really, really old or somewhat newer. We would attribute somewhere in the 5,000 to 10,000, depending on that condition, for a single garage. The bath count, I would say superior for the subject property, having a 5-piece and a 3-piece compared to a 1.5 bathroom. And also the subject property has a smaller lot size by about 1,000 square feet. So that would also contribute to a lower value.
So what is the main factor driving it being a lower value? What is the primary factor?
It's the effective age of the subject property. That's all the way up at 1963, representing what we would consider to be a superior condition and level of improvements for the home.
One second, Shana. I'm just going to ask Doug, do you have any questions?
None for me, thank you, at this time.
Shana, you got a question that came to mind?
Yeah, pardon me for that. I'm assuming I'm going to have an opportunity to present my own information later on. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So when you're saying the 1963, where are you pulling that year, Nathan?
So the effective age is representation of the level of upgrades and improvements essentially that have been done to the home. So it doesn't mean exactly that your home looks like a 1963 home. It means that a certain level of components have been replaced, essentially making the home newer. So the effective age represents that level of improvements. So for 134 Spence, we have increased the effective age to reflect some improvements, but not quite to the same level as your property.
Thank you for clarifying.
Now, my question to you, Nathan, was the number last one, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. You brought in a 1 3/4 story. Is that the reason that you're putting the value so much lower on that one? Because it's got same size lot. What's the difference between that one and number 1?
I'd say mainly the size, given that it's 200 square feet smaller and it's only a 1 bath, would attribute to a lower sale price and a lower value. It was included for analysis because of the proximity to the subject. It's just 4 properties down north on Yonge Street.
That one's at 165.90 a square foot. You got this one at 167.
I'd also say that comparable number 4 at 259 Yonge, we have commercial adjacent influence similar to the subject. However, I would say that the subject has a heavier influence given that it's directly adjacent to the apartment building, whereas comparable number 4 doesn't have quite as severe of a commercial influence.
So wouldn't that bring the dollar per square foot down?
Of the subject property, yes, in relation to comparable 4.
And you've got it, okay. But how come it's higher?
Well, comparable number 4, that's the sale price that I'm comparing to the assessments, right?
You've got the price per square foot at 165.90 on that one, using the sale price, correct?
Oh, the unadjusted, yes.
And that one is at 167.
Yeah, typically with smaller homes too, you'll see a slightly higher price per square foot. So given that it's 200 square feet smaller, that could contribute to it being a higher price per square foot. And also, as you can see by the effective age in 1972, it's quite well updated.
Okay, on with your presentation, Shayna.
Okay, thank you very much for hearing me today. So a couple of things I just want to bring to light. I understand that we're in the West Broadway area. However, as can be seen by the information that was presented in the documents that I included from Chris Kachenko, we would actually argue this is more of the West Central area, just given the demographics and that kind of information, the amount of rental property that's here, and other things. So given that, we would actually ask that we look at this in terms of West Central as opposed to West Broadway. I purchased the home with my partner for $211,000 in December 2020. And that was after we had the property assessed and we found extensive fire damage in the attic. That was never documented. It wasn't documented to us. It wasn't until we actually had the property assessed. So that's one thing. And the apartment building that is currently that is adjacent to us has actually been vacant almost the entire time. It's under renovation. So I would also take that into account when we're assessing the property value. Given that it is vacant, we've had quite a bit of police activity there as well. And the last thing, I would just say that if we're going to be looking at comparable properties in terms of being more as West Central rather than West Broadway, you'll see the information that I presented and that was compiled by Chris Kachenko shows that he would assess this at 200,008 if we were to be looking at a 2018 assessment rather than what was presented by the assessor.
Nathan, any questions?
You mentioned fire damage in the attic. What can you go into depth a little bit more about what kind of damage there was and what kind of remediation you guys did?
Sure. Yeah. No, it was a surprise to us all. The original asking price for this property was a bit higher. We then had the property assessed, and if you go up into the attic, I don't believe that the previous owners even knew. If you go up into the attic, there's extensive fire damage, including to the beams that are supporting the back part of the attic. Therefore, when we do need to reshingle the roof, which we're going to need to do, we're actually going to need to do extensive structural renovation to the attic in order to even have access to the roof for that.
About how old is the roof now? How old are the shingles on the home?
The shingles at this point are about 10 years old. So, so as opposed to just the cost of just reshingling the roof, we're actually going to need to rebuild part of the roof and then be able to reshingle the roof, because we won't be able to reshingle the roof without that. There was a serious fire that took place in the home about 20 years ago. And that's when some of the extensive renovations took place, was because of the fire damage that basically eviscerated the kitchen and back area of the house.
Okay, so it was a main floor fire, and then the smoke damage would have gone up into the attic and caused the.
But it's not just discolored; it's charred. There's actually like charred wood and charred wooden beams.
Okay, and no remediation yet. You said when you redo the roof, that's probably when it'll be addressed.
Yeah.
Okay. Any changes to the property since you've moved in, or is it still the same?
I turned the room that had been kind of used as a bike storage room. I actually, because of COVID, turned that more into an office. So I just added a wall in order to do that. And I added, it's already been insulated, but I just added a heater because I was just using it to be able to work from home.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
No other questions. Thanks.
Doug, any questions?
Just one. How much damage do you think there is to the structure in the attic?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at when the property was assessed, and again we had 3 physical assessors there, two assessors there at the time. Everybody was very, very surprised. We're looking at it's going to be probably 20 to 25,000 in order to we're going to have to buttress it. We're going to have to just put the actual beams, new beams in it, because it just can't support the weight of somebody actually going up and reshingling otherwise.
You found this after you purchased the property?
We found this when we had already expressed interest in purchasing of the property, pending the property being assessed. And then we had the property, we had a property inspection done, a home inspection done. And then we went back to the owners in order to renegotiate the price because of that damage. And it was damage that they had not disclosed to us because I don't believe they knew it themselves.
So how much did they bring the property price down?
9,000. 9,000.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Bill?
No questions.
I'm going through your information you gave us on the house that sold. And were all of those houses renovated or just some of them?
I'm sorry, the comparable sales?
Yeah, your comparable sales. You hadn't spoken to them.
Yeah, no, the comparable sales are because I would argue that if we're going to be taking a look at the property, although it is physically in the West Broadway area, it is much more like it's West Central area. And some of these houses had been renovated, some of them had not. I mean, all of them had some renovation, some of them substantial, some of them had not.
They were all the way down to 2016 in sales, correct?
That's correct.
2016, 2017. You didn't find any, what? You're getting close, 2018. And you're looking at 208,000, I do believe you said, correct?
Well, the asking price for the house was 2020, but prior to us discovering the fire in the attic and the damage in the fire in the attic, after that it was actually sold for 2011, which is why we're saying that if we were going to be looking at it in 2018. That's why I wanted the clarification. We're talking about 2018, 2022. We would say it was 2008. If in 2018, the assessor year.
Okay, anything in closing, Nathan? Do you want to summarize anything?
I just wanted to clarify, I'm just pulling up the map for your comparables. These are all north of Portage. Is that sort of what you're saying about how it should be considered in a different area?
West Central as opposed to West Broadway. And again, if we're looking at, just the demographics and the various kinds of levels of street activity and the fact of the rental properties here on Yonge Street, it would be more comparable to look at West Central than in the West Broadway area.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Shannon, do you have anything you wanted to say in wrapping it up? No? Okay, thank you very much for your presentation, and you'll be hearing from us.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Let's move on to 612 McMillan.
It is.
612 McMillan Avenue. Brenna Wall. As soon as we click these on. Where did I end up here?
Brenna, I'll just need you to unmute your microphone, please. And for the record, please state your name.
Brenna Wall.
Do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And I see somebody there next to you. Will he be speaking as well? Possibly, maybe?
Possibly at the end, Sean Prevo, who is also the homeowner.
Yes, I'll just affirm his words as well then. So for the record, Mr. Applicant, please state your name.
Sean Prevo.
Do you affirm any evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Nathan, you want to go with the file? Nathan?
612 McMillan Avenue, roll number 1202-1827000. It's in the McMillan neighborhood area. It's a 2.5-story single-family dwelling constructed in 1905, 1,670 square feet of living area, full basement with no basement finish, 2.5 bathrooms, central air conditioning, and no garage. A lot size of just under 4,000 square feet with commercial adjacent influence. Comparables 1 through 4 are all in the McMillan area. They're all 2.5-story single-family dwellings constructed between 1905 and 1910. Living areas ranging from a low of 1,475 to a high of 2,048. Comparables 1 and 3 have full basements, while comparables 2 and 4 are full part areas. Bath counts, as you see, are laid out before you there. Comparables 1 and 3 have central air, similar to the subject. And all 4 comparables have a garage. Lot sizes for the 4 comparables range from a low of 3,013 square feet to a high of 4,809 square feet. Time adjusted sale prices for the 4 comparables range from a low of 326,000 to a high of 401,000. Or time adjusted sale price per square foot ranging from a low of $164.70 per square foot to a high of $229.83 per square foot. The 2022 assessment for the subject property is currently set at $336,000 or $201 per square foot. The subject did sell post-reference in 2020. And as you can see, based on my map here, we have 4 fairly close comparables, number 4 being the furthest away, 1, 2, and 3 all kind of being in that same area. The commercial adjacent influence for the subject property is it's essentially 1 street removed from Corden. McMillan's just behind Corden there. So the back of the property backs onto Corden Avenue. I believe there's a shopping center that it backs onto. Thank you.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Brenda, do you have any questions you'd like to place with the assessor?
Probably so many questions, but just noting differences that there's a fireplace in one of these, and they all do have. He did note that they all do have garages, whereas ours does not, and 3 of them have multiple garages.
Brenda, your microphone's not picking you up very clear. Can you speak closer to the mic or?
Right here. Would you like me to repeat anything?
Yes, please.
Okay. Can you hear me a little better?
Yep, now I can.
Yeah. My only he did mention that there are garages on all the other properties, whereas we do not have one, and one of them does have a fireplace. And our sale, he did mention that we bought the house in December of 2020, and we purchased it for $290,000.
Okay, just no other questions for the assessor, right? We'll leave that for your presentation after, okay? We're going to see if the panel members have some questions. Doug, do you have any questions?
Not at this time, thank you.
Bill?
Yeah, I just wanted to get Nathan's feedback on the no garage issue that the application.
It seems like detached garages are the norm for the area. It's tough to find comparables without any garage at all. Again, a multiple means that there's one double garage, not that there's actually many garages. And a single garage, of course, just means it's a single garage. Again, depending on the condition of the garage, for a single, you'd be looking somewhere close to 10,000, and for a double, you'd be looking closer to 20,000.
So it's pretty close. You have it pretty close to comparable number 2, which has a multiple garage at 205,87, and the subject is 201,20. So can you identify the different, what the differences are in that property? In the subject property that would kind of bring it up, given that it doesn't have a multiple garage?
The only thing to point out, I guess, would be that it has an extra half bathroom, which would make it a little bit more functional in that regards. And the basement is full, whereas with comparable number 2, I believe an addition was put on or converted, and that part doesn't have a basement under the back. So the basement would be a little bit smaller for comparable number 2. But yeah, generally, if you're going to look at an actual dollar adjustment using comparable 2, for example, you look at 326 minus 20,000 ish for the garage. What's another about 10,000 for a half bath? So it'd adjust out to about 316,000 as your comparable, and then divided by the square foot of the subject property, and you'd be looking at about 189 per foot. If you're using that as a direct comparison without anything else.
So it'd be 189 then, is what you think it should be?
Yeah, if you're looking at comparable number 2,
yeah,
and saying that was equivalent, and you added in the fact that it has a double garage and subtracted the fact that it doesn't have a half bathroom, not considering the level of improvements to the home, which can be a little bit tougher to gauge, it would come up to about 189 a foot.
Okay. No further questions.
So, so Nathan, if that one is, would that not put the this house at 189 a square foot then?
Well, we would look at all 4 comparables, but if you're just using number 2 and saying that that's the closest one, then yeah, that would be my approximate deduction.
That'd be around 189. But yeah. It seems like number 2 is the closest one, is it not? In your opinion?
In terms of characteristics, it certainly lines up pretty well. Yeah, I mean, Gertrude and McMillan are fairly comparable streets. Yeah.
So what would that put the value at 189?
Uh, 315 rounded to 316.
Okay, we'll see what the appellant has to say. If we can have you go to your brief. When you are ready, Brenna, bring it forward.
Okay, so I put multiple properties through in the area as well, who all have we're all similar to my house as for square footage and area in land assessed. And some of them, the land area, the living area is actually, the square footage is larger and they're assessed at less than my house.
Now, one thing, Brenna, can I stop you for a second?
Sure.
What you're bringing forward here is assessed values. This would be from the rolls from the city of Winnipeg.
Yes.
We don't look at assessed values. We look at sales because the assessments can be wrong. And that's the reason you're here. These could be wrong as well. So we don't use those for comparables. Do you have sales that you brought forward?
I did look at some sales. The sales are all from 2018, I believe, right?
Or April 1st, I hope?
Well, so the sheet that I ended up getting was from 2016 to 2018, I believe, and so the only information I have to go off of on these sales is building type and sale price, and then time adjusted sale price, because that's on the sheet. And a lot of them, I found a few that are assessed lower than my house in my area. So I have 706 Mulvey Avenue for $282,000, 768 Mulvey Avenue for $287,000, 558 Warsaw for $287,000, and those are 2017 and 2016 respectively sold. And as mentioned, ours was bought in December of 2020, and we bought it for $290,000. So our current assessed value is, $46,000 more than what we actually purchased it for. So as per comparables, and then the house also sat on the market because of some of the pictures that I have added in evidence, which I can go over in a minute. Yes, I think that's all I have for that one. Did you have any questions about the properties that I mentioned?
Not yet.
Okay.
We'll wait till your presentation is done.
Okay. So the first picture that I have is actually a stair that was broken. When we moved in, there's multiple things that need to be fixed on the house, and this is why it sat on the market for, I believe it was over 60 days, and we purchased it for $290,000 instead of the asking price. $290,000 instead of the asking price. The second picture is a level. It's hard to tell what's going on there, but it's how much was it? Was it an inch and a half? Yeah. So the house has a decent slant to it because of the condition of the basement, which when you get to the third picture, you can see that the basement floor is cracking, is a stone foundation. And then the next picture is just a slope on our kitchen roof.
When we go to redo that roof, we'll need to be correcting the roof as well.
So the next picture is the pile in the basement and how it is improperly supported. And this is one of the reasons why it is sloping on the whole house is sloping to one side. And the picture underneath that is actually the joist cracking from people adjusting the teleposts so much to try and fix the slope. Instead, the joist in the house is actually cracking instead of it fixing anything. And the last one is how it should properly be supported on a telepost, but the pile's actually pushing down into the stone instead of pushing the house.
It's not up on piles. It's just placed on the floor. It's all going to need to be corrected at some point, and it's not going to be cheap when it's done. I imagine this is why the house wasn't selling at their asking price, which, yeah.
And then the very last picture is just the cracking that you see in the side of the house because of all of this.
Well, that's it.
It's the heaving in the house going on with there's deep cracks and they go all the way through.
Yeah, that foundation, if you'll notice that last picture, the foundation, it is not a straight line along the house. The whole foundation is heaved inward. And yeah, any correction on that is going to be very costly. So, I mean, when comparing to any of these other properties, I don't know if they've got severe foundation issues, but you know, comparing to any other reason, that would be why the house sat on the market as long as it did.
And we purchased it for $46,000 under what its assessed value is with the city of Winnipeg.
Yes.
Is that it for your presentation?
I believe so.
Okay, we're gonna come back to some questions, I do believe.
Sure.
Nathan, you're up for questions?
Did you see the home prior to purchasing it?
Yes.
So you went in the basement, you would have seen these floors and seen the teleposts?
Yes, yeah, that would be why we negotiated a lower price.
Okay. And have you done any remediation work since taking possession?
No.
No? Did you get a quote or an inspection done or anything?
We got an inspection done by a friend who has done inspections. We did not get an official one done. And so they had, you know, it's hard to quote exactly because of if things were to happen, you know, they could pile up on top of each other. But yeah, so the range that it could come to fix is just, there's no real, it could be as little as, you know, $20,000 up to $60,000, right? So.
Okay, thank you.
Bill, do you have any questions?
Yeah, those sales comparables that you had brought up, do you have the feature sheets on those or anything like that?
No, I don't have anything else. This is the only thing I was told to be able to get information from, so.
She pulled it off the city website.
Yeah, well, I took it off of the sales book market for region number 7, which is what I was told to pull it from. But I don't have any other detail on these houses on this page. So
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Yeah, you're moving away from the microphone again.
I don't have any other details on the houses on from this page because this is all I was given was just this information. All I had to go off of was to make sure that it was a 2.5 story.
So what do you think it should be assessed at?
I think it should start at 290, at least what we bought it as.
You bought it at 290 or 298?
290. 290
No further questions for me.
Doug?
What was the original asking price for that residence?
I'm not sure if but when we found it, the original asking price had gone down to 305.
It was $349,900.
349.9 what the original
Was
was.
the original price, and then it dropped to $329,900, and then it got pulled from the market.
So, yeah, the 349.9.
We never even saw that.
No,
Yeah.
and I guess it's fair to say that was not what the market was going to pay, considering it came down. What is it, 60 grand to what we paid?
So at this point, there's substantial damage to your basement area and basement walls?
Yes.
And you feel that it's gonna cost somewhere between 20 to 60,000 to fix that?
Yes, well, because if you're talking about just fixing the basement, then that could be a certain cost. But once you fix that, then it travels up the house. Maybe windows
Right.
break or anything like that. So yeah, so in total, it could go up to 60,000 or more possibly, of course.
And the exterior basement walls are severely compromised?
Compromise being like not stable, or just the picture there was the one side with the sagging, the wall that has sunk the most, whereas the other side of the house has not sunk that much. So we end up having about, I think it's about 4 inches or something between the two.
Yeah. And the other thing, the teleposts in the basement, are they on proper footings or no?
No.
Maybe.
Like, I mean,
Maybe.
yeah, definitely that one picture where the telepost in the basement where it's off to the side there, that one should not be like that. And it's right beside the chimney. But the other one that is in the center and might be supported more appropriately, it's not working because it's just pushing through the stone foundation instead of pushing the house up.
Okay, so it's just a cement pad, it's not properly affixed.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, no further questions, thank you.
And I think that concludes it for that. Do we have anything in summarization? Nathan?
No.
No? Brenna, anything you want to say in closing?
Yeah, no.
No?
Yeah.
You're good?
You're all right?
And you'll be hearing from us before too long.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Done.
Okay, let's move on to the destroying city property. I don't know what that is. Number 4, so number 4 is,
You can announce that.
Hmm?
Nathan doesn't know yet.
no, we're not doing number 4, they're not here.
No, but
right?
you can just say it's been
Hmm?
adjourned.
Yeah, number 4 has been adjourned.
Oh,
Number 5 here?
Yep. Delane, are you around? Can you hear us? Oh, there he is.
You here?
He is. He's just said one.
Okay, bring up number 5, guys. That is 324 Aubry Street. Delane, when you are ready. Oh, yeah.
If you could unmute your microphone, please. And then state your name for the record.
Delane Taves.
And do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Here?
Yes. Just said one.
Okay, bring up number 5, guys.
Delane, if you could just shut down that YouTube.
Of course.
Thank you.
When you are ready. Oh, yeah.
If you could unmute your microphone, please. And then state.
You still got it on.
Slight delay. I think we're good now.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay, Nathan, floor is yours.
324 Aubry Street, roll number 1208-150-1000. This is in the Wolseley neighborhood area. It's a 1-story, single-family dwelling constructed in 1925 with an effective age of 1950. 1,032 square feet of living area, a full basement with basement finish, 1 full bathroom, no air conditioning, and a single detached garage. A lot size of just over 3,000 square feet with a commercial influence. The four comparables are all in the Wolseley area, all one-story single-family dwellings constructed between 1930 and 1947, all with full basements. Comparable 1, 2, and 3 have basement finish similar to the subject. Comparables 1 and 3 are 2 baths, while comparables 2 and 4 are 1 bathroom similar to the subject. Only comparable number 2 has air conditioning, and all 4 comparables have a garage. Lot sizes for the 4 comparables range from a low of 3,012 square feet to a high of 3,422 square feet. Time adjusted sale prices for the 4 comparables range from a low of 236,500 to a high of 298,400, or time adjusted sale price per square foot ranging from a low of $249.05 up to $406.54. Subject property was purchased by the current owner in September of 2020. If you have a look at my map on page 2, you'll see it's a little bit spread out here. What I've done, comparables number 3 and 4 have a similar location to the subject property in that they're essentially one property removed from Portage Avenue, so they share a similar commercial influence. Essentially, they're just backing onto a business on the other side, and then Portage Avenue is right there. Meanwhile, comparables 1 and 2 are located further south down on Aubry Street. So they are on the same street, however, they don't share that commercial influence. And that's all. Thank you.
Elaine, do you have any questions of the assessor?
Sure. Can you comment on comparables 1 and 3 have an additional half bath and shower? And comparable 3 is a multiple detached garage instead of a single. Can you comment on the valuation of those additional features?
Sure. In terms of value, when you're looking at a single garage to a double garage, I would put the difference at about roughly 10,000 in terms of market value. And likewise with an additional 3-piece bath, probably an additional 10,000 as well.
That's all. Thank you.
Bill, do you have any questions?
No questions?
Doug?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Would number 4 be the closest comparable here?
Yeah, I would say because it's got the similar proximity to the commercial influence as well as Portage Avenue. The big difference is, of course, that it doesn't have basement finish and it hasn't quite been upgraded to the same degree as the subject property.
What type of basement finish did it have? Do you know?
I can check real quick. I can't say exactly. If anything, it would be minimal basement finish or to no basement finish, according to our records.
And what type of basement finish was in this house? The applicant's house.
Yeah, I can pull that listing up 1 second. The subject property, it's listed as having a rec room in the basement. Larger rec area, it looks like wood paneling on the walls and some older carpet and a little bar. Drop down tile ceiling, so older basement finish.
So the $40 a square foot, the difference, is that all on basement value?
No, I would have to attribute some of that to the upgrades as well that have been done to the home. It's been remodeled fairly recently based on the description and the photos, including, it looks like, refinished hardwood floors, newer kitchen flooring as well, countertops in the Countertops, they look like they've been replaced, but not high end or anything like that. And further to that, it just says the furnace and the windows have also been done fairly recently, according to the listing.
You said the other one was remodeled as well. Did you not? Number 4?
Similarly, the furnace and the windows are listed. The kitchen, it doesn't look like it's had quite the same level of updating. It's got older carpets throughout the main floor instead of the refinished hardwoods. And the kitchen is a little bit more dated looking, I would say.
Are they hardwoods or laminates?
In the kitchen, it's laminate.
Okay. I've got no further questions. We'll move on to your presentation, Delane.
Okay. Thank you for hearing my application today. I intend to show that at the time of my purchase, the home was worth less than the value of $304,000 that it's assessed at, and that even with improvements that I've made since, the value of the home is still below that assessed value. I'll start by discussing the property's time on the market until I purchased it. For your reference, in brief 1, the first page shows the listing for the property. So the property was initially listed November 3rd, 2019. That listing expired after 92 days. It was relisted then February 11th, 2020 at $274,900. After a further 184 days on the market, I purchased it for $242,000. At the time, an appraisal was done by Bruce Wagner, and you'll see in brief 2, that is that appraisal. That was completed August 11th, 2020, valued the property $245,000. That value is available on page 2, of brief 2. Now I understand that values prior to April 1st, 2018 are not for consideration. Nevertheless, I'll submit the appraisal as it shows the part of the reason why the home was sat on the market for those 276 days. And so there are some substantial deficiencies that affected the sale price. So it could be argued that since I took possession of the home in 2020, I've made substantial repairs, and that is true. I have increased the value of the home, so I'm not going to argue for a $245,000 assessment value. I've made 2 substantial repairs. The first is structural repairs to the garage. I did that work along with lot grading around the home, and I incurred $9,600 in expenses to do so. The second major repair was knob and tube removal for insurance purposes. The work and materials for this work was approximately $9,200. So all in all, that comes to $18,800 in repairs. I ascertained from a realtor a reasonable selling price for the home in its current condition with a relative date of April 1st, 2018. So this is Barbara Ann McCurdy of Realty Executives. This is on page 3 of your brief number 1. And the value given there is $265,000 to $275,000. And I'm aware that the documents that I sent in, some of them, they are a little bit degraded in terms of the pictures. If the board needs, I have them available and I can screen share them as well. So please let me know if anything is illegible on those ones. Even with the repairs that I've completed, there are several deficiencies of the home that still limit the potential sale value. I'll list them along with an estimate from a contractor showing the values that would be incurred for the repair. The first is boarded up windows. These are shown on pages 6 and 7 of brief 1. There are 3 windows closed off from the inside of the home. 2 of them are broken. 1 is in the basement foundation and 2 on the main floor. The second deficiency I'll list is water damage in the basement. Page 5 shows the affected area in the basement. This is the rec room. And actually there was sewer backup, which I was aware of. That was disclosed when I purchased the home. What was not disclosed is that there's also moisture that comes up from below the slab of the basement. And so the carpet that was in the rec room was contaminated, along with some of the partition wall in the basement. So I removed those items, but I've not repaired them since. The third issue is lot grading, directing water towards the foundation of the home. I have effected some repair, but there still exists at the rear deck of the home and on the front entry stairs. In both those cases, there's water flowing to the foundation of the house. Page 8 in the brief shows the stairs, and it actually shows some previous attempts at repairing that deficiency. Now, to give an idea of the substance of those deficiencies, I've got an estimate from Velo Renovation for the cost to repair them. This is shown on pages 9 and 10 of brief 1. The total value for the repairs is $21,298. And to me, that shows that the substantial cost reflects the substantial nature of those deficiencies. I'm aware that the board may not evaluate each of those deficiencies equally, so that's why I have them broken out line by line for your consideration. I'm going to offer also 5 comparable properties with time-adjusted sales values. And so these you'll see in page 11 of brief 1. The subject and comparables are all located in the Wolseley neighborhood. All are single-family dwellings and all are bungalows. The lot size of the subject is 3,006 square feet. Comparables range 2959 to 4827. The subject house was built in 1925, and the comparables range 1922 to 1929. The subject has 1,032 square feet of living space. Comparables range 840 to 928. The subject has a partially finished basement. All the comparables have finished basements. The subject has a detached garage. 3 of the comparables do as well. The subject has a single bathroom, as do 3 of the comparables. And the adjusted sales values of the comparables range from $217,800 to $263,300. One item that is unique to the subject on my comparables is that the subject is commercial adjacent. And in terms of, I'm not sure how the city assesses that. My appraiser in brief 2 on page 5 assessed a commercial adjacent property that have a value of $10,000 less. And for my last point, I think I want to actually, using the assessor's comparable sales report, if we refer back to the map that's been provided, with comparables 3 and 4 being most similar in site influences to the subject. Comparables 1 and 2, by contrast, they're between Wolseley and Palmerston, and Palmerston is only accessible by Wolseley, so we don't see the same kind of commuting traffic that we do adjacent to Portage, or even traveling from Portage to Westminster. So if we were to, I took an average of the time-adjusted sale price per square foot of comparables 3 and 4. And that average of $261.39 per square foot, if I multiply that by the square footage of the subject property at 1032, I'd get a value of $269,754. So that approximately $270,000 value is right in the range of what the realtor Barbara Ann McCurdy also put my property at $265,000 to $275,000. And I would argue that that would be a more accurate value. One thing I'll mention about the hardwoods, they actually, I failed to include a picture of their current state. In the appraiser's brief, you'll probably, sorry, just a sec. In brief 2, which would be the appraisal document, when I purchased the home, the carpets in the main area the hardwoods in the main area are all covered up by carpet, and that's because the hardwoods in the main area are actually in quite poor condition. The ones in the bedroom are in fair condition. Those are my arguments. Thank you for your time.
Nathan, do you have any questions?
I just wanted to clarify. So the carpets that you're talking about covering the hardwoods, those are like area rug carpets. They extend all the way to the ends.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, I don't have any questions. I think the brief by the applicant is pretty strong. I would concur that about $270,000 is probably a reasonable market value for the property.
70? You're okay with that, Nathan? That was
Yes.
the number you were looking for?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Nathan. Any questions from the panel members?
Not now. Thank you.
You've solved all our problems. Thank you very much, Nathan. You'll get the exact number when you get the paper on it, but it looks like it'll be close to that 270. So thank you very much, and we'll close that one for today and move on to the next file.
Can I have 2 minutes, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
Thanks.
Are you leaving, you mean?
Yeah, just to run to the washroom.
Okay, let's take 5.
Okay.
We'll take 5. Ooh. We're going to move to we'll call the meeting back to order. Right, the item on the agenda is now 510 Greenwood. Bradley
And Annette. Yep.
and Annette.
Yep. So, Madam Applicant, for the record, please state your name.
Annette Denny.
And do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
We're going to move to we'll call the meeting back to order. Yeah, he's already sworn in. So. Nathan, when you're ready.
Okay, 510 Greenwood Place, roll number 1208 1007000. This is in the Wolseley neighborhood area. It's a 2.5-story single-family dwelling constructed in 1911 with an effective age of 1931. 1,768 square feet of living area, full basement with basement finish, according to our records. 2 full bathrooms, no central air, and a detached multi-garage. A lot size of just over 4,000 square feet. All 4 comparables are in the Wolseley area. All 4 comparables are 2.5-story single-family dwellings, constructed between 1912 and 1913. Living areas ranging from a low of 1,634 square feet to a high of 1,930 square feet. All have full basements with the exception of comparable 1. Comparable 2 and 4, just comparable 2 has basement finish similar to the subject. All have between 2 and 3 bathrooms. None of them have air conditioning similar to the subject. And comparables 1 and 2 have detached garages, while comparables 3 and 4 do not. Living area for the lot size for the 4 comparables ranges from a low of 2,361 square feet to a high of 3,779 square feet. Time adjusted sale price for the 4 comparables ranges from a low of $356,600 to a high of $436,800, or a time adjusted sale price per square foot ranging from a low of just over $200 per foot up to $255.75 per square foot. The 2021 and 2022 assessments were amended through a supplemental assessment notice due to a building permit that was taken, which we'll get into in just a bit. You can see on page 2, my map, just the 4 comparables spread out in the Wolseley area. And then pages 3 and 4 of the brief are exterior photos of the home. So what happened was in, I believe, 2021, there was a permit pulled for structural alterations to the home. This included alterations to the main and second floor front porch area, including replacement of 11 windows, according to the work permitted, as well as some work to the front sunroom, interior structural walls. So this permit triggered an inspection by our department. We called twice the number listed on the permit, but neither phone call was returned. An estimate was made based on the exterior inspection that was done. Those 2 photos that are attached to page 3 and 4 of the brief were taken during that inspection. It was also noted at that time that the back porch had been removed. So the assessor, based on the permit work and the exterior inspection, increased the effective age of the home based on their estimate of likely upgrades based on the permit work and not getting a callback, and removed the back porch from the home as well, which resulted in an 80 square foot reduction in the square footage of the home. And that's all. Thank you.
Annette, do you have any questions of the assessor?
I just want to point out that as far as I know, we never received any calls. Otherwise, we would have called back. And the permit did have for 11 windows. We did put in the 11 windows, but we were forced to remove both the northern and southern window because our lot doesn't have enough room on either side. And it seems that there used to be a grandfather clause and we missed it by a year. And so they made us remove both of the side windows on the lower porch.
Okay, that wasn't really a question, but we'll come back to you shortly.
Oh, sorry, okay.
No problem, Annette. Bill, you have any questions?
Yeah, sorry, yes, I do. When I guess that was an exterior inspection that was done then?
That's right. The assessor tried phoning to get a hold of the owners, left voicemails, didn't get a call back. Did an exterior inspection, noticed that at least the exterior had been redone and that back porch had been removed, so made changes just based off of that.
So this estimate of the renos that the inspector did, how much was that estimate?
The total value change was from 335 to 389.
335 to 389?
Correct.
Just based on the exterior inspection?
And the listed permit work, yes.
And listed permit work. Okay. So though that permit work was completed, did you verify that?
To the best of our knowledge, again, we tried to contact the owners and we didn't hear back. So the best we can do is drive by and look at the outside of the home.
But you based it on the fact that it was completed.
That's right.
Okay, that's it. No more questions.
Doug?
Yes, on that permit, what was the amount of work was to be done?
So on one permit, they have a declared construction value of $4,600. And then on the accompanying electrical permit, they have 0. So it's tough to say. It doesn't seem like they're declaring all of the work.
So the electrical was, I'm assuming, removal of knob and tube?
I believe that work was done fairly recently, yeah.
Okay. No further questions, thank you.
And I've got no questions at this time, so let's move on to your presentation, Annette.
Okay, I just want to correct two things. The work wasn't done in 2021 or 2020 as stated, I believe. It actually was done in 2018. And we did have an inspector come to the house twice. Once after the removal and the tieback had been put on, and then a second time when it was completed. So I'm not sure about the callback issue. The other thing was the value was $4,600 for the exterior, and we did the work ourselves on the porches, and so that work was $7,000 because there was no labor, just costs. And for that part of the porch, the floor remained and the ceiling remained. All we did is replace the, I guess that would be called the joists or the 2x4s. Because when we went to replace our porch windows, we realized that the wood was rotting. So we replaced that. So that's one of those permits. Also, I have included 4 homes. I found this very difficult. I'll be honest, I went through the whole list of the homes on the Wolseley setting. There was 98 that were 2.5 stories. And I could not find one from 2016 to 2018 within the time frame that fit our basic characteristics, but they have changed. And I apologize to Nathan because he's basing it on a lot of things that no longer exist. So our house, when we purchased it, did have what it called a finished basement. It is not a finished basement whatsoever. We have had to remove walls and flooring since we've been here. We've been here about 24 years because of rotting, because of bad, poor workmanship. The ceiling, when we removed the tiles from the top of the ceiling in the basement, we did this because we were having a lot of movement in our flooring, and we realized that they had removed what they call, I guess, cross bars between the main joists of the house. So our floors are in very, very poor condition throughout the whole house. The second and third floor, the floors will be completely have to be replaced. They're old fir floors that are splintering and dry. They can't be refinished. They can't be fixed. They are. I mean, we tell our guests to bring indoor shoes so they don't get splinters. The walls have a lot of plaster work to do. I could probably lift this and you could see the ceiling, and I don't know if you can. No, you can't. I can't tilt my computer enough, but the ceilings, the plaster work is horrendous. The second floor, we still haven't finished peeling off the 6 or 7 layers of wallpaper from the second and third floors yet. The garage that we had replaced, we had issues with that, and I don't know if there's any way of checking into that, but we actually had a cease construction done when our garage was being built because the person who was constructing it at the time, a company called at that time Garage Guy, he poured the cement incorrectly and refused to correct it. And so what he did is he added on the bare ground without any preparation, he added cement to make up for the bad pouring job. And we knew that there would be problems with it. We had a cease construction done. We had an engineer come and do an evaluation. The evaluation was near half of the cost of the garage. And it was dismissed because, as according to the city rules, I guess it's up to the contractor to provide an engineering letter. He did so, but this letter, all it was a steel engineer claiming that using a certain typical type of steel was efficient. But that engineer didn't come to our home, didn't see the construction of the build or anything. So unfortunately, we got no compensation for that. So we have what looks like a much newer garage, but we have to periodically, about every This was in 2007 that we had it done. We've probably had to have the tracks on our garage replaced 2 or 3 times already by then, because what happens is, because of the difference in cement, there's a crack that runs along it, and unfortunately the door is part of that, the garage door that opens up. And so the tracking, with the contraction and stuff, I guess from our winters, it moves, and so our garage door doesn't always open. So quite often, probably every third time, our garage door won't open. We have to go in and we have to manually unlock our door, go in, and then manually pull it from a string and open the door. So I know it looks like it's a newer garage, but it is compromised. The basement, at one point we did do renovations. We had to replace some windows because we had cracking. That's when we discovered as well that at some point some previous owner had removed the telepost from underneath the stairs. So that caused, as I've mentioned, lots of plaster work that cracked because the house wasn't properly supported. Now we have since then put back the support systems that should have been there in place, but the damage that was done to the walls and to the floors and to windows, that's up to us to repair. Now the knob and tube, the electrical, that was replaced in 2018 as well. And that left little patches everywhere in the house. We still haven't finished painting. And so when I look at the comp 1 to comp 4, I know just by the price that those aren't our types of homes. I have pointed out 4 different homes, 2 that are on our street. I have been in both of these homes. And if in 2016 or 18, we had put up our house, 510, up for sale at the same time as 528 and 530. One of them sold for $310,000, and time adjusted price, they brought it to $328,000. The other one, 530 Greenwood Place, they sold for $341,000, and with a time adjusted price, it went to $359,400. Those are both homes that our house would have not sold for either of those prices. We've been in both of these homes. 530, which has half of the lot of 528, and I need to point this out because it sold for more money than the house that had double the lot and was bigger or larger square footing for living area. 530 was completely finished. The inside of their porches don't compare to ours. The inside of our porches aren't completed. They're still just the studs. That's the name I was looking for, not joists. They're still just the studs. The floor has to be done. The ceiling has to be redone. Everything, the basement is fully finished in that house. It's just gorgeous. You move in and there's nothing to do. And you don't think that you have to do anything. 528 Greenwood Place, if I'd known it was sold for that, I would have purchased it. It's gorgeous. It has oak trim and oak flooring all the way into the 3rd floor. And they have a second bathroom in the basement. Our house does not have oak trim and oak flooring throughout the house. We have it on the main floor, oak trim, and we have part of the main floor is the old 100-year-old maple floor. That's it. So the inside of our house is nothing like this. There's no comparison. Our basement, we affectionately call it the dungeon. It's not. There are pipes that come just above my head, and I'm 5'3.5". So it was never something that should have even been finished. It's not finished. It's a storage room on cement. The actual washing machine has a tube that goes into a tub, and then from the tub there's a tube that snakes down to the middle of the basement floor into the sewer hole. It is not a finished basement. The bathroom in the basement we had to remove again because of bad workmanship, and it actually cracked. So we removed everything. We haven't had a second bathroom in the basement for at least 6 years. probably not a real finished basement for at least 10 years. The mudroom that was in the back, we had to remove because it was molding. And when I went to clean a window from above, I actually started to fall through the ceiling. So there was no choice for us. That mudroom had to go. So we've lost 104 square feet. We have unfinished porches. Actually, the beautiful siding that goes around the house, it's not even complete. The upstairs porch, if you go into it, it's still just Tyvek. And again, so this increase of $56,000 for us when we had to remove those side windows on which was what we thought was a beautiful sunroom because it was full of sunlight, now only gets a few hours of sunlight in the morning. That's it. And that's if it's sunny. If it's not sunny, then we're out of luck because that has removed a lot of sunlight from our home. I don't know if there's anything else that I wanted to say. Just loss of the bathroom, loss of windows on our porch, loss of 104 square feet. We have an old furnace from the mid-50s. Still lots of, there's just so much money that needs to still be put in this house. And this house doesn't look anything like these homes that, I went online and looked at all the 2.5-story homes that I could find that tried to fit these characteristics. And anything that was at our price was just beautiful. Just move in and it looks gorgeous. That's not what our home looks like. It would be advertised more so like 428 was, which is here, this house has a lot of charm and, come and make it your own. That's what this would be on the inside. Unfortunately, the work from the outside makes it look like it's so beautiful. And I do agree. I think that the outside job is nice, but the house looked pleasing as well before too. We always received compliments on the outside of the house. It's Wolseley and we kept in the characteristics of the house. We didn't change the way it looked. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure why we had to take a permit because the company that does that woodwork, it's like a wood composite. So it's, I guess, sawdust with glue and made to look like the original wood siding and wood shakes that we would have had. But no one else has had to have a permit because it was similar material for similar material. But we had to take it, and now I feel like we're getting penalized from it. And it's mostly only because of when we removed the mudroom, we had the original wall behind it, and it was beautiful. And we thought, this is like what we want. And unfortunately, when we took off the stuff, it was nailed every inch or every 2 inches because of the board they put in between the siding and the other siding. That created a situation where the wood couldn't be salvageable anymore. So we've been stuck fixing things, unfortunately, like the roof. Again, that was an insurance thing. They basically said, fix your roof or we won't insure it. So we haven't been able to do anything on the inside because we've been kind of stuck fixing things on the outside. I think that's about it. Sorry, do you have any questions?
We will. Nathan, you're up.
I just wanted to clarify, the photos in your brief, these are all of other homes? You didn't include any photos of your own home?
No, and I apologize. I wish I would have. And if you're willing to, I can go take photos and send them right after this. I have no issue with that.
Okay, I have no questions. Thanks.
Bill?
So how much do you think it should be assessed at, your house?
Are you speaking to me now or Nathan?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at the two homes that I've been in. So like 528 and 530, because we have lived here for a long time. And 528 that has substantially more lot than us and substantially more living area than us, sold for $310,000. And we see it as a better value than our home. So I think it should be less than that one.
What year was that? 310,000?
Pardon me? That's 528 Greenwood Place.
When did it sell at 310,000?
Well, the adjusted, time adjusted, it's between the 2016 and 2018, but the time adjusted says 328,600.
$528,700. And 530?
530? You're asking me, what's the question about 530?
The questions there all for you.
So 530 was purchased for 341,000, and the time adjusted says 359,400. And 530 as well has air conditioning. So it's absolutely gorgeous inside.
So did you tell me what you thought the assessed value should be?
Of our house, I
Yeah.
think it should be 300.
300? Because you're comparing it to 528, 530.
Yeah, and they were purchased between the time period but I do know that their houses, they're better than our homes. So I think if our houses had been up for sale at the same time, ours would not have gone for either of that price.
Even with all those exterior renovations that you did?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The house beside me is just as gorgeous, and it's assessed at 120,000 less than me. The house beside that has a 50-foot lot and air conditioning has the exact same assessment as us. Yeah, I have. I should have done this years ago. I didn't realize how taxes worked, and it's only because we received this huge increment that I started talking to neighbors, and that's when I realized how overtaxed we're being compared to the people on our street. Thankfully, those two houses did sell during the time period that was requested.
I just wanted to get your take on the city estimated that there was $46,000 worth of renovations done to the house.
Yeah, that's true.
Based on the exterior inspection and the listed permit work. So what is your opinion on that? Do you think that was for $46,000 worth of work that was put in?
That they did?
Yeah. Well,
Yes,
whoever did.
they did, but
Value of the work.
that's the value that we paid to do it, but I don't think it increased the value of the house by that. There was an outside already. It's not like it was bare and we had to put it on. There was an exterior. It did look nice.
Okay,
I
so
mean, on Google Earth, it is still our old home. So if you go on Google Earth and look at our home as it was before the renovations, you can see it's still a very handsome house. It's not that it increased it by 55,000.
Okay, no further questions.
Doug,
My question's been answered, thank you.
where are you getting those? Which page did you give us that information on for the sales of those homes?
I'm sorry.
You gave us some sales. Where is that? If you have a list of the money?
Well, the one that you have is the market value that was from the city of Winnipeg.
Yeah,
Site.
that we don't use those.
Yeah, and the one that I gave afterwards, those are the sold and time adjusted sales price from the sales data.
And did you supply that with this in your sheets?
No,
Okay.
I did not, but I can give them. I can give them to you now if you would like.
You already gave them to him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you gave them to Bill already. Okay, I've got no further questions. Anything in summation?
No, sir.
Nathan?
No, thank you.
No? Annette, anything in summation?
No, I probably talked too much already.
Thank you very much. And you'll be
Okay.
hearing from us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Item 7. What's the next one gonna be this time?
It'll be item 7,
Item 7?
21-103, 929 Palmerston Avenue.
Item 7.
And our applicant has joined the meeting. Good morning. For the record, can you please state your name?
Yannick Surso.
And do you have a different first name?
Oh, sorry, my Nicholas Yannick Surso.
Thank you
Apologize.
so much. And for, do you affirm to the evidence you'll give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. When you're ready, Nathan?
929 Palmerston Avenue, roll number 1208-2178-000. This is again in the Wolseley area, 2.5-story single-family dwelling, constructed in 1922 with an effective age of 1942, 2,235 square feet of living area, full part area basement, no basement finish, only one bathroom, no central air, and a single detached garage. Lot size of about 2,700 square feet. All 4 comparables are in the Wolseley area. All 4 are 2.5-story single-family dwellings, constructed between 1907 and 1911. All have full or full part area basements. None of them have basement finish. Bath counts vary as you see before you. Most of them are more than one bathroom. Comparables 1 through 3 have central air, while comparable number 4 does not. Only comparable 4 has a fireplace, and comparables 3 and 4 have single detached garages. Lot sizes for the 4 comparables range from a low of 3,092 square feet to a high of 3,821 square feet. Time adjusted sale prices for the 4 comparables range from a low of 377,800 to a high of 456,100, or a time adjusted sale price per square foot ranging from a low of $174.14 per square foot to a high of $211.46 per square foot. The 2022 assessment for the subject property is currently set at $425,000, or about $190 per square foot. Referring to the map, you'll see that the subject property is tucked away kind of at the back of Wolseley there. Palmerston runs along the south part, and the 4 comparables are all north of that. The subject property, just double check here. Yeah, it was purchased privately in 2020. And since then, according to my records, and recently the knob and tube and electrical was redone. This is pretty typically a requirement for purchasing when you buy a new house. In order to get it insured, you have to get the knob and tube redone. And other than that, I don't have any record of any recent work being done. So this time we're recommending the $425,000. Thank you.
And then, you have any questions for the assessor?
I do not.
None? Doug, do you have any questions?
None for me, thank you.
Bill?
Just a clarification. I thought I heard you say detached garage, correct? For the subject?
We have it listed as an attached garage, actually, which would make it a bit of an outlier for homes in the area. They're typically detached.
Okay, so it is attached then.
Yes, according to our records.
No other questions?
Okay. On with your presentation.
Sure. So I guess I'm going to start with the last point just because it seems the most germane at this time. The garage being attached, I did attach a photo. I did just want to clarify that while it is attached, it has actually external access. So from a value add perspective, you still have to leave the house to go into the garage. So it's not, I think attached garage conjures up different images as far as the value of access to that space. So I just thought I'd call that out as far as a value point. Then I've just going through some of the points that I sent over previously. I think that I just want to call out some of the value add acknowledgements, like being a corner lot. In this case, the corner lot means that we've completely intersected, and I've attached a couple photos there by sidewalks. And as you can see, even from the comparables, the actual size of the square footage relative to the actual lot size, there's literally no actual owned yard on the lot. So what that means is we have a lot of boulevard that isn't ours that has to be maintained. And while Palmerston is a property that seems to have some sort of coveted desirability because it's low on car traffic, it does have a lot of foot traffic, and that area being close to the community center school essentially means that it's a dog walking park. There's nothing you can do with that boulevard yourself or do anything with. You can't grow grass even for it, from animals doing their business to people just hanging around, loitering, walking across the boulevards. It's essentially the homeowner is responsible for maintaining a public park space with their responsibility. So in that regard, I don't think that in this case, I don't think a corner lot adds value for that Palmerston specific location. So if that's an area that is perceived to add value, I just want to give a call out that it doesn't in this case. Another piece that at one point, that sidewalk didn't exist on the Palmerston side, and there was a driveway that you could actually park your car on, which of course would definitely be a value add. But when they ran that sidewalk through, they intersected, and it was immediately parking on that side. That driveway became prohibited. So now you have a non-functioning driveway leading to that very, very small, I don't know if it was at one point for a carriage size garage. So it's very limited on what you can do with that. And then that sort of transitions to my next point as far as trying to remediate or improve your parking situation. So you have this great property. Hydro has placed a cable that I guess is a structural support beam to hold the pole up, which means that we have the one pole in the city that needs its own cable to stand. I'm not too sure why, but it runs diagonally across the entire backyard, which means there's no alley access. So we couldn't put a garage in, we couldn't make any improvements, we couldn't put a parking pad that we could access from the alley like any of the other lots would be doing. So that's another detractor. So you have this very small yard, you've got a corner thing you have to maintain, you have no access from the alley. So it's essentially sort of trapped in this little spot. So that's another sort of limits the ultimate value. Once lots of curb appeals when you describe it on paper, and then you get there and you realize there's a lot of impracticalities to the actual site. So then just wanted to give some additional considerations. I know that at one point it was from the history of the property, it had been zoned as an R2, and then it was changed to R1. I actually don't know. I just don't know if that was ever a factor, and I don't think there was ever any sort of appeal that actually be reassessed at that point. I did change the knob in 2, but that's literally the only renovations that have been made to the property. So that was a $20,000 investment. I paid $290,000 for the property. So of course, well below the assessed value. I know I've got an amazing deal on it, so I'm not asking for it to be appraised at that amount. And I, honestly, at the time, I hadn't been thinking about appealing this, and I didn't keep the information but when I was looking at listing the property, at that point in 2020, the most they said I could possibly get if I were bidding was probably about maybe 380, and that I should really come in at 350 and see where it goes. And that was the best they could really hope for. So obviously, I know properties have already gone up since 2020 with demand. But I do think that considering the risk that we're sort of in a bubble or something along those lines, having an appraised value at 425 feels like we're at the top end of what I could possibly ever get at most for this property. So that doesn't seem like the assessed value of property should be at the absolute high water mark of what we could get for that property. Just looking at the comparables, I only got them just before the meeting, but I did glance at some of those properties. Both comparison 1, 2, and 3 Those properties have had some significant renovations, certainly from the exterior as far as in things to increase curb appeal. They actually have front yards. They actually have backyards. So there, from a livable space, there's a lot more. You've got a solid brick building. One had like all their stucco redone. Had none of those kind of renovations. Nice metal roofs. I believe the roof's almost 20 years old presently on Palmerston, and that's going to cost me a fortune to get changed out. And I've lived in those areas a long time, and I'm 90% sure that 116 Ethelbert is actually a duplex inside. Like, it is a fully functioning 2-property kind of home in there. So it may only be zoned R1, but I'm sure. But that. So anyway, that's hearsay. So I apologize for that. So so that's essentially it. I mean, I'm not looking for it to be slashed in half. I believe the property should be assessed closer to, $390, something along those lines, in my opinion. And that's why I'm here. That's it. I'm done.
Is that it for now? Questions, Nathan?
How did the sale come about? How were you made aware of the home?
Actually, it was a family member, and so they had a need for immediate financing, and I guess I capitalized on the opportunity. So
okay, no questions. Thank you.
Bill?
I have no questions.
Doug?
No, not right now. Thank you.
You're running out of time. This is it.
Okay.
I've got no further questions. Thank you very much for your presentation. You'll be hearing from us.
thank you very much for the time. Take care.
Next one up will be number 8.
Yes, yep, yeah.
Number 8. Bring it up, guys. When you've got them, you can swear them in. We're going to bring up our files.
Okay. Oops.
They didn't present one, right?
He does not have a
Okay.
that is correct.
Can I just take a 2-minute break, please? 2 seconds. I'm not sure. Hello? Yeah.
Call it back to order.
Call it back to order. Let me go ahead.
All right, so Mr. Applicant, for the record, can you please state your name? No.
My name is Max Bennett.
And do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Nathan, when you're ready. Is Nathan back yet?
Nope.
He's just coming back.
Oh, sorry. I thought.
Sorry, Nathan, we thought you were there.
Sorry about that. I was just taking 2 minutes myself. We're on 595 Sherburne Street, correct?
Correct.
All right. Roll number 1302-0589-000. This is in the Minto neighborhood area. It's a 2-story single-family dwelling constructed in 1921 with an effective age of 1961, 1,432 square feet of living area, a full basement with no basement finish, 1 full bathroom, central air conditioning, a fireplace, and a detached single garage, and a lot size of just under 3,000 square feet. Comparables 1 through 4, all in the Minto area. All 2-story single-family dwellings, similar to the subject, constructed between 1894 and 1937. Living area ranging from a low of 1,062 square feet to a high of 1,376 square feet. All with full basements, with the exception of comparable number 2. All with no basement finish, again, with the exception of comparable number 2. All are 1 bathroom, similar to the subject. All have central air conditioning, with the exception of comparable number 2. And only comparable number 2 and 3 have single detached garages similar to the subject, whereas comparables 1 and 4 have no garage. Lot sizes for the 4 comparables range from a low of 2,329 square feet to a high of 3,831 square feet. Time adjusted sale prices for the 4 comparables range from a low of 228,800 to a high of 259,100, or a time adjusted sale price per square foot ranging from a low of about $168 a foot up to a high of $243.97 per square feet. The 2022 assessment for the subject property is currently set at $281,000, or a total price per square foot of $196.23. The home was purchased by the current owner in October of 2020, so it's a post-reference sale. And if you scroll to page 2 of my brief, you'll get an attached map detailing where our comparables are. So they are a little bit spread out throughout the area. And pages number 3 and number 4 of our brief is our sales mailer. So this is something that our department started sending out about a year ago, maybe a little bit more, for either private sales or homes where properties may have had work done or there's incomplete information. We'll send out this sales mailer to help complete our characteristics updates and things like that. So the sales mailer was used to help update the property characteristics for the home after the private sale in 2020, October 2020. That was a private sale. So the adjustment was made based on the sales mailer. So the assessment increased from $247,000 to $281,000 where it's at now, and that's what we'll be recommending today. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions of the assessor?
No, I do not.
You do not? Any questions of the assessors, Doug?
No, I do not.
Bill?
No, I do not.
Thank you. On with your presentation, sir.
Okay, so I guess the evidence that I have here is just based on, sorry, my cat is just lying on top of this stuff. It's based on the assessment notice, which, gosh, I just had it here just a second ago, I'm sorry. In any case, yes, so it's based on interior alterations. And so that would be a $34,000 difference from the 247 to the 281. Yeah, I guess the only real renovation that occurred between the previous owner and myself and my wife is a kitchen. And it's an IKEA kitchen. It's countertops and cupboards, and that's it. There was also some renovation on a fireplace, like the mantle of the fireplace, but that actually failed the wet inspection that we had done when we first took possession, and so that actually is going to require further renovation on our part. So that's actually kind of an extra cost for us. So yeah, I guess that's just all I'm presenting to you today, is that I do not believe that there was $34,000 of renovations since the last assessment of this property.
Okay, Nathan, questions?
No questions, thank you.
Bill?
So you think that it should stay at the previous assessment plus what the renovations are? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would say that the renovations would roughly be about $10,000 if I was generous, but I, of course, didn't do the renovations myself, so I don't have those numbers. But it's an IKEA kitchen, so it's nothing terribly fancy. It's not like it's, hand done woodwork. It's just, yeah, it's IKEA.
Doug?
So you're recommending it come down to what value then?
Well, I would recommend, like I said before, a $10,000 difference from before, and it was previously valued at $247,000. So I would recommend $257,000.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
I've got no further questions. Thank you very much for your presentation. You'll be hearing from us shortly.
Thank you.
Are we doing 131 Westgate or is that?
We are, yes.
We are.
I'm going to just need a moment.
131 Westgate next, guys.
She's having some trouble connecting, so we haven't tested her sound or lead. Morning, Sonia. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, good.
Now we can see them, like,
Can you see us?
almost.
There's quite a bit of glare from the window behind you, but we can see you.
Okay.
So is Sonia there as well, or is it just you?
I'm not Sonia, I'm Chuck, but Sonia's right beside.
I'm here.
Oh, you're both there. Okay, I couldn't see her. Okay, will you both be speaking this morning?
No, I'm not gonna speak.
Okay, so then I'll just swear you in, sir. For the record, can you please state your name?
Chuck Schellenberg?
And do you affirm the evidence you'll present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. And Chuck, maybe you get Sonia to close that curtain behind you.
We don't have a curtain.
Okay, then we're out of luck.
Okay, well, we could turn it around, maybe. We could turn the computer
Just a
around.
little bit too much sun coming
Over
on.
here, Chuck.
Come over here, Chuck. Move it.
Just slide to your right a little bit if you can.
To the right? Okay.
Go over there.
You're right, right?
Yeah, he's right with me.
Yeah.
Where that picture is on the wall, slide towards it.
Over there?
Yeah.
Much better. Yeah, that's
Right,
better.
That's it. That's
That's
the
better?
spot we want to stay.
That's much
Okay.
better. Yes.
All right. We like the sunshine though.
This doesn't work on camera. Nathan, fire it up.
All right, is that better for you?
Yep.
Okay,
I just don't see you now.
Oh,
that's fine. I can actually move as well.
Yeah, okay.
We're rearranging furniture now. Okay. Is this better?
Yes, that's much better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have to move the coffee pot too. Okay, we're ready to rock and roll here.
Okay,
All right.
Nathan, you're up.
Number 131 Westgate, roll number 1209-1743-000. This is in the Armstrong Point neighborhood area. It's a 2.5-story single-family dwelling constructed in 1912. 4,558 square feet of living area, full part area basement with no basement finish, 3 bathrooms, 3 fireplaces, a detached garage, and an in-ground pool, and a lot size of just over 12,000 square feet. Comparables 1 and 3 are in Armstrong Point, similar to the subject, while comparables 2 and 4 are in adjoining Crescentwood. All are 2.5-story single-family dwellings constructed between 1905 and 1913. Living areas ranging from a low of 3,197 square feet to a high of 4,906 square feet. All have full basements. All have at least some basement finish. Looks like they're all between about 4 to 5 bathrooms. Only comparable number 2 has central air conditioning. All have between 2 and 3 fireplaces. All have attached or detached garages. Lot sizes ranging from a low of 9,071 square feet to a high of 10,070 square feet. Time adjusted sale prices for the 4 comparables range from a low of 711,300 to a high of 1,048,700, or a time adjusted sale price per square foot ranging from a low of $178.76 to a high of $242.64. The 2022 assessment for the subject property is set at $985,000 or $216.10 per square foot. We have no recent sales and no recent inspection history for the home, so we're not exactly sure what it looks like on the inside. We'll have to hear from the applicant. If you turn to page 2, you'll see my map, which is details comparables number 1 and number 3 and how close they are to the subject. While comparables number 2 and 4, you can see, like I said, are out in Crescentwood there, which is not the same, but is about as close to Armstrong's Point as you can get when you're running low on comparables. And yeah, with the information that we have, we'll recommend $985,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Chuck, you want to put any questions to the assessor?
I certainly do. But I'd like to begin with something that I think is more important. First of all, he said that he was running a little thin on comparators. And the reason he was running thin on comparators is because this is the only point in the city of Winnipeg which is as unique as Armstrong's Point. I'd like to, the covering letter that I sent in my package lays out
Chuck, we're going to get to that. Have you got any questions on what he's giving us for information other than, and then we'll get into your presentation.
That's not the way it should work, but okay, I'll follow your advice. Then there are no comparators outside of Armstrong's Point. If you'll read that covering letter, and that's, I'll exclude that from my package then. I'll just include it as part of my question to the assessor. There are no comparators that are valid outside of Armstrong's Point. We have lots of comparators inside Armstrong Point, and he's chosen 2 of them. But we've got 7 or 8 that are comparable to our property in the point. So taking Crescentwood away, and taking Point Douglas away, and taking Fort Rouge away, all those, they don't compare at all to this point, to this area, which is absolutely unique. So I think that we have to take those Crescentwood comparators away. They don't compare. And by the way, Mr. Assessor, what does comparable or comparator mean in your language? I mean, I'm serious when I ask the question. Does that mean they're similar or close to identical?
Yeah, it means they share similarities, and generally I'll try and identify 3 or 4 comparable sales, not comparable assessments, but actual comparable sales that have occurred within the last few years to use to try and justify our assessed values.
Okay. So the 2 comparators that you have in the gates here, you have 97 West Gate, is that true? And 64 Middle Gate?
That's correct.
Yeah. So they have sales, you're comparing sales. Well, you don't know what the sale of our house is. We've lived in here for over 3 decades, right? So we don't know what the sale price is going to be if we sell. But on 97 West Gate, their sale was what, 680,000? Do you have that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And 64 Middlegate was 710,000?
Correct.
Okay. And the Westgate assessment was 668,000 at the time. They sold for 680. And the 64 Middlegate was assessed at 782 and they sold for 710. Is that right?
I haven't made note of what the assessments are, only the subject sale prices and the comparable sale prices.
I agreed to say nothing but the truth, and those are what the assessed values were on your website from 2018.
Okay.
Okay. So you know what? I think that maybe our presentation is over then, because we'll accept one of those assessments.
You'll accept what?
We'll accept either one of those assessments from those 2 properties that just sold that are comparables to us. Because currently, we are assessed at $985,000, the second highest in Armstrong's Point, and we should be assessed around $700,000 based on those 2 properties that he's used as comparators. So we'll take that.
Chuck, only you would do this to us. You know that, eh? We're going to move away from the questions now. Do you have any questions, Bill?
What do you mean?
We're coming back to your presentation. Your presentation's not done yet.
Wait a minute. I was asking the assessor about the comparators.
And he answered it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Bill, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I guess I was going to go along the same lines as the applicant did there. Just to get Nathan's take on the comparatives as well. Do you think that the crescent woods are really that relevant in this situation? Considering the uniqueness of that area?
I would say depending on the location, depending on the home, I would say comparables 1 and 3 are probably the strongest in terms of comparable. It's important to note, of course, the size discrepancy between comparables 1, 3, and the subject. Yeah, so I would say use comparables 1 and 3 as stronger comparables than 2 and 4.
So 1 and 3, or 3 has a time-adjusted sale price per square foot of $186.88, and the subject property is 216. That one also has a finished basement at comparable 3. So why such a low, considering the difference with the finished basement, that's quite a discrepancy in the price per square foot. What would you attribute that to? Even the square foot area is kind of in the same neighborhood as well.
Going over the sales record for 64 Middlegate, that's comparable number 3. They do list partial basement. They say that there's a storage room, a 1-piece bathroom, a small rec area, and a workshop down there. So it's not like it's nicely newly finished. In terms of discrepancies, there's no in-ground pool in comparables number 1 or number 3. The subject property has an approximate 1,000 square foot deck off the back, as well as a sunroom adding to the value. So there's actually quite a bit going into this, as well as the superior lot size at 12,000 square feet. So I don't think this is as simple as just saying, well, that one sold for 710, so my assessment should be 710.
You say it had a pool, this subject property? Yes, it does. Okay, I see that.
An in-ground pool, yes.
In-ground pool. Does that add value, or is that kind of a wash these days?
No, that would add value in a higher end home.
In a higher end home only, or in general?
I would say in general, yes. On occasion, an in-ground pool can be seen as a hindrance by some people buying the home. But generally speaking, it's going to add value. People are going to find use for it. Otherwise, they would just buy a different home.
Okay, no further questions.
Doug, my question's been answered. Thank you.
And so has mine. Chuck, we're coming back to you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Right there. Chuck, you weren't here when I did my opening remarks, I don't think, were you?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Had you heard my opening remarks when we started the meeting originally, at the very beginning?
I don't know if I did or not. We were sort of
9 o'clock. You weren't listening to us at 9 o'clock, were you?
No, we couldn't get out. We didn't know whether we were in the waiting room or not, to be honest with you.
So I just wanted to bring you up to speed on one thing that I'd said, and that was that we don't use comparable assessments. We use the values for the area. So assessments aren't evidence to be presented at this meeting. You have to use sales information. Okay? You follow where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I wasn't aware. I thought this was a revision board for assessment.
It is, but we can't use assessments of other properties because they might be wrong. The city might not have, that's one of the reasons you're here. They might have been wrong. So some of the other ones might be wrong too, so we don't use them as evidence. Some of them could be before us.
Okay.
So you have to have actual sales when you're talking to us about values, okay? So if you
Okay.
make your presentation to us.
So I'm restricted to talking about the categories that the assessment board uses to value us, right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, okay, I'm happy to do that. But can I just introduce the covering letter to you and why this area is so unique and can't be used, have comparators used outside of the neighborhood? Is that okay?
Yes, you may.
Okay. So I'll read it to you. I mean, you've got it there in front of you, I hope. So the reason that we think this particular neighborhood is so unique is because it's in the only entire neighborhood designated as a heritage community district in the city of Winnipeg. It's the only one. In addition to that, the geography and location, it's peninsular in shape, has no through street, no bridge access directly into or out of the neighborhood, and no public transportation provided through the area. In addition to this little area, it includes and has on its sites here the Cornish Library, the University of Winnipeg Professional Women's Club, Westgate Collegiate, and the adjoining Misericordia Hospital. All of these beautiful attributes to this little neighborhood, but they increase traffic, increase congestion, and restrict street parking in the neighborhood. And this may be a little bit dicey, but the abutting neighborhood influences can pose certain limitations and restrictions, such as access to home insurance and financing. I'll give you a personal example. We moved into this house in 1988. We had bought a home. We've lived in 4 neighborhoods in this city: Fort Rouge, West Broadway, Wolseley, and now Armstrong's Point. And when we sold the house, we lived on Aubry Street in Wolseley for 7 or 8 years. We borrowed the money from a cooperative finance institution, and we paid it off within 7 years. So, and our track record there financially was just perfect. So we went to them and said, the house is getting a little small. We've got 3 teenage kids growing up in here. 2 of them are boys, and they bring all their friends in. And the house is small. And all these teenage boys have got smelly feet, if you know what I mean. So we were getting a little crowded in there. So we said, we need a bigger home. We'd like to buy a home in Armstrong's Point. And they said, yeah, you can get the mortgage, but you can't get it in the war zone. We said, what does that mean? Well, if you come to us and buy a house in Lindenwoods, we'll give you the money, but not there. So clearly there's contributions to this that influence this neighborhood by our surrounding area. And other than that, it says here that we've listed that this is not as homogeneous as other highly assessed neighborhoods. So my point in raising this is that there are no comparators that are valid as far as I'm concerned when comparing our house to some other neighborhood. So I think the Crescentwood ones are just off the scale. Now, if you want to get some comparators here, now the assessor here has given us 2 in the gates. We've got 7, I think, that are really good comparators right in this neighborhood. And I'd like to list them for you, if you don't mind. The first page, page number 4 actually on our package, shows you the list of the 47 homes, actually 46, I think, 46 homes in the gates on Armstrong's Point that are 2.5 story and our vintage or our era of home. And the first one highlights the total assessed values, which you say doesn't matter. Okay. Anyway, we're the second highest for some reason. So the top one there is at almost 1.4 million assessment. It's on the river. It's massive, big, massive castle and on big property. And we're the second highest in the area, 985,000. So we must be really special, right? A little spoiler alert here. Be prepared to be disappointed. Anyway, so that's what we did with the assessments, and which don't matter here, obviously. We did a comparison of the 46 properties that are like ours. And page 8 lists assessed land area. We are of the 46 houses that are like ours in this neighborhood. And we're number 13 out of 46 as far as assessed land area. That's page 8. And the comparator that we'd really like to use is 90 Eastgate, and you can see they're 12th on that list of assessed land area. Page 9 is the year built, and we're in 1912, and 90 Eastgate is 1909, so the same era. Page 10 compares total living area. 90 Eastgate is 5,900 square feet. At number 6 in that list, we're number 14th at 4,500 square feet. Page 11 compares water frontage measurements. Water and sewer, I think that's a relevant factor here. But anyway, their number 90 Eastgate is 8th, and we're at 10th. Page 12 is the number of rooms in each home. 90 Eastgate has 20 at number 3. We're down at 43, we've got 9 rooms. And finally, property influences in the area. 90 Eastgate is 12th with attached garage, finished basement, and a corner lot. And we're 21st with none of those. And the comparison of 90 Eastgate to us at 131 Westgate on page 6, I'm sorry to have to make you go back. We've done a comparison there of properties that are comparable to ours in the gates. You can see there, we start off at our address at 4,500 so square feet, and 90 Eastgate is considerably larger at almost 1,500 square feet more. Assessed land area for us is 12,000, and 90 Eastgate is about the same size, same water frontage. They've got a finished basement, we don't. They have a corner lot. We've both got pools, and their assessed value, you don't want to hear about this anyway, is 797, and we're at 985. We're just out of range here, and I don't even know how that could happen. I don't know who made the assessment there. Anyway, so those are the two comparables that we have here. I don't know when 90 Eastgate was recently sold. We don't have that. I don't have that information. But we are similar to 90 Eastgate and about $200,000 assessment value increase. So our taxes are considerably higher for virtually the same kind of house. And we've got pictures of them. Actually, they got curb appeal. We're just an old sort of Tudor style home, but you can see the pictures there. I don't know what page they're on. Come on.
Page 2.
Page 2? Okay, whatever. Anyway, the pictures are there. They got a grand looking home. And we're just a little, we're Tudor style. Have I made my presentation clear to you or not? Or have I introduced topics?
You have, Chuck. We're going to have some questions for you though when you're done.
Okay, you know what? I think I'm done.
Okay. Nathan?
Have you had an appraisal done on the home at any point in the last 5-10 years?
No, we have. You mean like for sale? No.
Yeah, like by the bank or anybody?
We haven't had anybody assess this property, no.
Okay. No, I have no other questions. Thank you.
Bill?
I have no questions.
Doug?
I've got one question for you. The property that you're looking at number 90,
yeah,
you say is similar to yours. Does it have the same amenities as your home?
It has more amenities. I mean, it's got the pool, and we've got a pool, but it has a finished basement.
Okay. So
I don't know, how many rooms does it have? It's got like
20.
It's got 20 rooms, and we've got 9. I mean, it's more elaborate. Well, I would consider it more elaborate. I've only been on the ground floor into their dining room there, and it's of course gorgeous.
So they don't have a pool?
They have a pool, yeah.
Okay, so
I think they're pretty comparable by those stats that the webpage that the assessment board lays out for comparators.
Does that home also have a large deck around the pool area?
It has a large pool area. Yeah, it's fenced in around it, of course, has to be.
Okay. No further questions, thank you.
Okay.
How does that 119 compare to your house? 119 Arms, 6th Street address, 64 Middlegate.
Oh, 64? Well, just, I think I've got them all listed here, don't I? 64 Middlegate? 64 Middlegate. Yeah, it's got total living area just over 4,000 square feet. And what are we?
They're 4,500.
4,500. Okay, fine. It's got a finished basement, built the same era, 2.5 story. It's got 13 rooms. And like us, it's got fireplace. And like us, it is almost the same land area. It's just over 9,000. What are we, just over 12? Yeah, we're just over 12. So it's similar.
So what number were you looking for, Chuck?
You mean for an assessed value?
Correct.
Listen, you told me I shouldn't bring it up. I can't bring this up.
What do you think it should be assessed?
Well, I'd be happy.
That you can bring up.
So Ann Kupfer, the assessor, that's his name up there, I can see, has compared us to 2 properties. This is the assessor doing this, right? Two properties in the gates. I'll take the 668.
Yeah, but that's, if you look at the dollar per square foot.
Yeah.
Okay. You've got more square footage than both of them. So you'd have to go by a square footage. So you'd be probably in that 811 to 840 range using those 2 comparables.
Well, why don't you use the comparable to 90 Eastgate?
Did that house sell?
I don't have a sale on it.
Well, no, I mean,
I have an assessed value, but I don't have a sale. Here I've got a sale. I'm asking you about sales.
I don't know about that. You've caught me off guard here. I didn't realize that we were talking about sales. I thought this was a revision board for assessment, but anyway.
It is assessment, but it's driven by sales because that creates the market values.
Well, what's the point? What's the point of assessment then, other than taxes? All you're after is taxes there, then, right?
No.
You don't.
We could get into a long story about how it works.
Yeah, I guess we could, and I'm obviously out of the loop here. Sorry about that.
How much? What was the increase you had?
Pardon me?
What was the increase? What was the previous tax bill before this 900 and something?
We've been paying. We've been
What
paying
was the previous assessment?
$12,000 a year, over $12,000 a year.
No. What was the assessment for?
Previously?
Yeah, before this 985. This.
You know what? You know what? You just asked me the most embarrassing question I thought that I would hope to try to avoid, which is what have we been doing for over 3 decades here, for 30 years? You know what we've been doing? We've been working hard to try to pay our property taxes, and we never really looked at it. And this is an embarrassing admission to make. We never bothered looking at them. It wasn't until this year that we're both retired now that one of the neighbors said, "Why are you paying so much tax?" And we said, "I don't know. We just pay the tax that the city bills us." So I don't know, sir. Honestly,
You'd never appeal these taxes at any time in the 30 years.
No. We just pay that. We thought we were going to get some, so the taxes, they're fair, right? They got to be. Turns out they're not. Well, we've been remiss in our scrutiny of these assessments and taxes, and we're trying to correct that now in our old age.
That's a good time to do it.
We ran out of money.
We've run out. Yeah, we're retired. I can't go work any harder to pay for my property taxes.
Okay, Chuck, thank you very much for your information.
All right, thank you.
We will review it and you'll be hearing back from us.
All right, thank you.
You have a great day.
And you too.
Bye. Nathan, you were all done with your demo, were we not?
All right, have a good day, everyone.
Nope, that's it.
Okay,
Everything's
thank you.
covered.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Nathan.
Adjourn.
We adjourn.